The stars glimmered coldly against the vast darkness of space as the diplomatic conference vessel drifted silently near the Centauri system. Inside, Prime Minister Jae Kim stood reviewing final diplomatic notes, unaware of the imminent danger surrounding him. Moments earlier, a coalition of alien species had activated their most sophisticated assassination plan. Representatives from 3 different star systems, the Crolian Confederacy, the Nexus Alignment, and the Orbital Domains, had spent decades planning this precise moment. Their shared hatred for humanity's rapid technological advancement and territorial expansion had finally culminated in this single critical strike. The conference hall was filled with diplomats from various galactic civilizations. Holographic displays flickered with complex data streams, showing interstellar trade, routes, and political agreements. Jae Kim moved confidently, his tailored diplomatic suit reflecting the soft blue lighting of the conference chamber. Unbeknownst to everyone, a microscopic quantum-based weapon had been strategically placed within the vessel's central communication hub. Its programming was elegant in its simplicity. Wait for the exact moment when the human leadership would be most concentrated, then detonate with maximum precision. Captain Sung Wong, stationed on a nearby Earth monitoring station, first noticed the anomaly. His advanced sensor arrays picked up a strange energy signature moments before the explosion. His hands moved swiftly across the holographic control panels, trying to send an emergency transmission. But it was too late. A brilliant white-blue flash erupted inside the diplomatic vessel. The explosion was so precise that it targeted only the human delegation, leaving other alien representatives untouched. Within microseconds, the entire human leadership present at the conference was eliminated. Back on Earth, communication centers went silent. The quantum networks that typically hummed with constant information exchange suddenly became eerily quiet. Something fundamental had changed in mere moments. News of the assassination spread rapidly across human colonies. Military bases from Mars to the Jupiter orbital stations began preparing defensive protocols. The initial shock gradually transformed into a cold, calculated desire for complete retribution. In the Lunar Command Center, Admiral Kim Jae-sung reviewed the initial reports. His weathered face remained emotionless, but his eyes betrayed a deep, burning rage. Decades of human expansion, technological achievements, and diplomatic efforts had been erased in a single moment. The alien coalition believed they had struck a devastating blow. They thought eliminating human leadership would fracture Earth's unified structure. They were gravely mistaken. Humanity's strength had never been about individual leaders. It was about collective resilience, technological innovation, and an unyielding spirit of survival. The assassination would not break them. It would unleash them. Military advisors and intelligence specialists began gathering information. Quantum AI systems started analyzing the complex web of evidence, tracing the origins of the attack. Every data point, every microscopic fragment of information would be examined. The human response would be calculated, precise, and overwhelming. Across various human settlements, from the dense urban centers of Earth to the remote mining colonies and asteroid belts, a unified sentiment emerged. This was not just an attack on leadership. This was an attack on humanity itself. Young soldiers prepared their advanced combat suits. Scientists initiated emergency research protocols. Economic strategists began mapping potential retaliatory measures. An entire civilization was transforming from a diplomatic entity into a focused, unrelenting force of technological vengeance. The alien species who planned this attack did not understand one crucial aspect of human nature. When pushed to the absolute limit, humans did not break. They transformed. As news spread and initial shock subsided, a cold determination began to spread. The diplomatic era was over. The era of total technological warfare was about to begin. Prime Minister Jae Kim might be gone, but the vision he represented would become humanity's most powerful weapon. A vision of unity, technological superiority, and an unbreakable collective spirit. The galaxy had just made a fatal mistake, and humanity was about to make them understand the true meaning of consequences. The Lunar Command Center buzzed with intense energy. Admiral Kim Jae-sung stood before a massive holographic display, his fingers tracing potential attack routes and strategic points. Around him, the best minds humanity could assemble worked with machine-like precision. Within hours of the assassination, Earth's military structure transformed. Specialized units from lunar colonies, Mars research bases, and deep space outposts began converging. They were not just soldiers. They were humanity's revenge mechanism. Captain Sung Wong arrived, carrying a data crystal containing classified intelligence. His eyes were sharp, focused, determined. The crystal contained everything they knew about the alien coalition, their weaknesses, their technological limitations, their potential vulnerabilities. Quantum AI systems hummed in the background. Advanced algorithms processed billions of data points every second. They were mapping, analyzing, predicting. The artificial intelligence was not just a tool. It was humanity's strategic brain. Yoon Lee, the top AI specialist, worked tirelessly. Her fingers danced across holographic interfaces, creating complex simulation models. Each simulation showed potential conflict scenarios, each more intricate than the last. She was building a war strategy that would make traditional military planning look like children's games. The military's approach was surgical. They would not launch a mindless assault. They would strike with precision, with intelligence, with a calculated coldness that would send a message across the galaxy. Reconnaissance drones, smaller than human fingers, were prepared for deployment. These were not ordinary machines. They were quantum encrypted, capable of penetrating the most advanced alien defense systems. They would become humanity's eyes and ears in enemy territories. Communication networks across human settlements began changing. What was once an open, diplomatic system now transformed into a secure, encrypted web. Every transmission, every data packet was now a potential weapon. Military training facilities went into overdrive. Soldiers underwent rapid adaptation protocols. They were learning new combat techniques, studying alien physiology, preparing for a conflict that would redefine interstellar warfare. The Economic Warfare Division began its own preparation. Led by strategists like Director Park Min-ho, they started analyzing the economic structures of the alien civilizations responsible for the attack. Banks, trade routes, resource networks, everything would become a potential target. Weapon development labs worked around the clock. New technologies emerged that seemed almost magical. Quantum entanglement weapons that could strike targets across light years. Energy disruptors that could disable entire planetary defense systems in milliseconds. Space construction yards began rapid modifications. Existing ships were being upgraded. New vessels were being designed with a single purpose: total technological superiority. These were not just ships. They were humanity's fists of retribution. Psychological warfare teams prepared their most sophisticated strategies. They would not just fight with weapons, they would attack the very spirit of their enemies. Understanding alien psychology became a critical research area. Intelligence networks spread like invisible spider webs. Every alien communication channel was being monitored. Every potential information source was being analyzed. The humans were gathering knowledge like a weapon. The global human population responded with unexpected unity. There were no divisions of nationality, no arguments about resources or territory. A single purpose united them: survival and retribution. Young recruits from Earth, Mars colonies, and deep space settlements volunteered in unprecedented numbers. They knew this was not just a war. This was a defining moment for their entire species. Advanced medical research facilities prepared for potential casualties. But their focus was not just on healing. They were developing technologies that could enhance human survivability in the most extreme combat conditions. Orbital defense platforms were activated and upgraded. Quantum shield technologies, previously kept in research stages, were now being implemented at an unprecedented speed. Earth would become an impenetrable fortress. The alien coalition had made a critical mistake. They thought they were attacking a divided, unprepared species. Instead, they had awakened a technological, strategic, and unified force that would redefine the meaning of galactic conflict. Humanity was no longer just another species in the universe. They were becoming a force of technological evolution, a civilization that would not just survive, but completely transform the rules of interstellar engagement. The mobilization was complete. The strategy was set. The hunt was about to begin. The first strike came without warning. Silent, precise, devastating. Captain Sung Wong's fleet moved like ghosts through the darkness of space. Quantum-encrypted ships, invisible to traditional tracking systems, approached the first target, a critical Crolian military command center located in the Orion sector. Quantum weapons activated. They weren't like traditional missiles or energy weapons. These were sophisticated technological instruments that could disrupt entire planetary systems in milliseconds. No explosion, no traditional destruction, just complete systemic collapse. The Crolian command center went dark. Communication networks crashed. Defense systems became useless chunks of metal. Within moments, an entire military infrastructure vanished without a single human soldier physically entering the zone. Yun Li watched from the lunar command center. Her fingers moved across holographic displays, tracking each system's collapse. This wasn't just an attack. It was a surgical, technological intervention that would redefine warfare. Across multiple star systems, similar strikes happened simultaneously. Human quantum drones penetrated alien defense networks, introducing specialized algorithmic viruses that consumed communication infrastructures from inside. Each strike was calculated, each movement predetermined by advanced AI predictions. The above alien coalition had no time to respond. By the time they understood what was happening, entire planetary communication networks had already fallen. Their military command structures became blind, deaf, and completely isolated. Director Park Min-ho's economic warfare team launched their own attack. They didn't just target military installations. They targeted economic systems. Specialized algorithms began destabilizing alien financial networks, creating massive economic chaos. Trading platforms collapsed. Resource distribution networks became scrambled. The economic foundations of multiple alien civilizations started crumbling without a single traditional weapon being fired. Military bases across human settlements watched in calculated silence. Young soldiers understood this wasn't a traditional war. This was a technological revolution where information and system disruption were more powerful than physical weapons. Quantum AI systems continued analyzing and predicting. They weren't just tracking current attacks. They were already mapping potential future responses, creating multi-layered strategic scenarios that human minds could barely comprehend. The psychological impact was immediate. Alien civilizations that had confidently planned the human leadership's assassination now found themselves completely vulnerable. Their most advanced technological defenses became useless against humanity's quantum warfare strategies. Space communication channels became filled with confusion. Alien military leaders tried understanding what was happening, but their communication networks were already compromised. Every transmission became another opportunity for human intelligence to gather more information. Reconnaissance drones continued their silent mission. They weren't just collecting data. They were systematically dismantling alien defensive capabilities piece by technological piece. Each drone was more sophisticated than entire alien research facilities. Human scientists had prepared for this moment for decades. Every technological breakthrough, every quantum research project, every advanced AI development, they were all converging in this single moment of technological warfare. The strikes continued. Planetary defense systems became inactive. Communication satellites transformed into dead metal. Entire alien military infrastructures collapsed without a single traditional military engagement. Back on Earth, citizens watched with a mixture of shock and pride. This wasn't just a military response. This was a demonstration of technological superiority that would be remembered across generations. Admiral Kim Jae-sung reviewed the initial reports. His expression remained calm, but his eyes reflected a Deep calculated satisfaction. Humanity had just transformed the entire concept of interstellar conflict. The first strikes were complete. The message was clear. Humanity would not just survive. They would completely redefine the rules of galactic engagement. The hunt had truly begun. Across thousands of alien communication networks, humanity unleashed its most sophisticated weapon. Pure, unfiltered information. Every hidden secret, every buried conflict, every internal weakness of the alien civilizations became public knowledge. The Nexus alignment was the first to crack. Classified transmissions revealed deep-rooted political conflicts within their leadership. Corruption networks that had existed for centuries suddenly became exposed. Internal factions began turning against each other, their unified structure collapsing from within. Yun Li watched the systematic destruction with cold precision. The quantum AI systems she had developed were not just collecting information. They were strategically releasing data in ways that would maximize psychological impact. Orbital communication arrays broadcast revelations that shook entire alien societies. The Crolian Confederacy's leadership found their most guarded secrets exposed. Trade violations, illegal resource extractions, forbidden genetic experiments. Nothing remained hidden. Captain Sung Wong understood this was more than traditional warfare. This was a complete dismantling of societal structures. Each piece of information was a carefully placed explosive designed to create maximum internal chaos. The economic warfare team, led by Director Park Min-ho, targeted financial networks. They didn't just expose corruption. They systematically disrupted economic systems, creating massive internal tensions. Trade routes became blocked. Resource distributions became impossible. Alien civilizations that had once stood united against humanity now found themselves fragmenting. Trust collapsed faster than their communication networks. Every transmission became a potential threat. Every leader became a potential suspect. Quantum drones continued their silent mission. They weren't just gathering information. They were creating strategic confusion. Communication channels became unreliable. Military command structures became paralyzed by internal suspicions. The psychological impact was devastating. Alien species that had confidently planned the human leadership's assassination now found themselves fighting internal battles. Their united front became a collection of suspicious, fragmenting groups. Young human soldiers watched the transformation with calculated interest. This wasn't just a military strategy. This was a complete technological intervention that redefined conflict itself. Intelligence networks mapped every single communication. Each transmission became an opportunity to create more internal confusion. Alien leadership found themselves unable to trust their own communication systems. The orbital domains were the next to collapse. Internal political factions, previously hidden, began open conflicts. What was once a stable civilization became a battlefield of competing interests. Humanity didn't fire a single traditional weapon, yet entire civilizations were falling apart. Admiral Kim Jae-sung reviewed the progress. His strategy was working perfectly. By exposing internal weaknesses, humanity was creating a level of chaos that traditional military actions could never achieve. Specialized AI systems continued their work. They weren't just exposing information. They were creating narrative structures that would continue destabilizing alien societies for generations. Each piece of information was a carefully placed seed of destruction. The quantum communication networks became humanity's most powerful weapon. Traditional military might became obsolete. Information, strategically released, could destroy civilizations more effectively than any physical weapon. Alien. Societies that had existed for thousands of years began fragmenting. Trade networks collapsed. Military alliances became impossible. Each civilization found itself fighting internal battles, unable to present a unified front. The message was clear. Humanity would not just survive. They would completely transform. The rules of galactic engagement. Technological superiority had become more than a strategy. It became a weapon of total societal destruction. The destabilization was complete. The alien coalition that thought they could eliminate human leadership had instead unleashed a force they could never comprehend. Humanity's revenge was total, silent, precise, overwhelming. Humanity's technological intervention had completely reshaped interstellar politics. The once powerful alien civilizations now existed only as fragmented remnants, their previous strength completely dismantled. The new Galactic Council assembled in a massive orbital station. Representing human interests, Admiral Kim Jae-sung stood at the center, his presence commanding absolute respect. Around him, the few remaining alien representatives sat in carefully controlled positions, no longer as equals, but as subordinates. Territorial boundaries were redrawn. Resource distribution networks were completely restructured. Humanity didn't just win a war, they redesigned an entire galactic ecosystem. Yuan Li's quantum AI systems became the primary administrative intelligence. They processed millions of complex decisions every second, ensuring that the new galactic order remained stable. No single civilization could ever again attempt what the alien coalition had done. Specialized human diplomatic teams moved through former alien territories. They weren't just occupying space. They were systematically rebuilding and restructuring entire planetary systems. Infrastructure that took thousands of years to develop was being reimagined in months. The assassination of Prime Minister Jae Kim became more than a historical event. It transformed into a powerful symbol of human resilience. Memorial stations were established across human-controlled territories, serving as constant reminders of the cost of challenging humanity. Director Park Min-ho oversaw the economic reconstruction. Entire planetary economies were dismantled and rebuilt. Resources that were previously hoarded by alien civilizations now flowed through carefully controlled human networks. Young human settlers began moving into newly acquired territories. They weren't just colonizers. They were architects of a new galactic civilization. Advanced terraforming technologies transformed previously uninhabitable planets into thriving human settlements. Military research facilities worked on preventing future threats. New defensive technologies emerged that could predict and neutralize potential conflicts before they could even begin. The quantum shield systems became so advanced that they could analyze potential threats across multiple potential future scenarios. Communication networks were completely redesigned. Every transmission, every data packet was now monitored by advanced AI systems. The days of hidden conspiracies were over. Transparency became the new fundamental rule of galactic interaction. Captain Sung Wang led the final phase of territorial redistribution. Human colonies expanded rapidly, filling the power vacuum left by the collapsed alien civilizations. What was once a collection of separate star systems became a unified human-controlled network. The alien species responsible for the initial assassination found themselves reduced to minimal territories. Their previous power structures were completely dismantled. They became cautionary examples of what happens when someone challenges human interests. Advanced medical research facilities began addressing long-term genetic and technological improvements. Humans were no longer just surviving. They were evolving into a species that could completely control their galactic environment. Educational systems across human territories were restructured. Every young human learned about the Great Transformation. How a single act of aggression led to a complete redesign of galactic civilization. The lessons were clear. Humanity would always adapt, always survive, always triumph. Quantum communication arrays became the new centers of galactic administration. Traditional political structures became obsolete. AI-driven decision-making replaced human bureaucracy, ensuring maximum efficiency and minimal conflict. The memorial for the assassinated Prime Minister became more than a historical site. It transformed into a symbol of human technological and strategic superiority. Visitors from various human colonies would come to understand the moment that changed everything. Admiral Kim Jae-sung made the final proclamation. Humanity was no longer just another species in the galaxy. They had become the primary architects of galactic civilization. The rules had changed forever. The new order was complete, silent, precise, Total. Humanity had not just survived. They had transformed. The entire concept of interstellar existence,